Yeah, it's been a minute since I've uploaded a video, and I said, today is Thursday. It's gonna be a 6-day work week for me because I gotta work on, well, I ain't got to, but I chose to work on Friday for one of my co-workers, and I'm like, what? I must have been in an alternate universe when I made that decision. But at the same time, I want this money because I want to buy some books, as mentioned in this video, although these are already pre-ordered basically. Anyway, I talk so fast, but I want to get to the point here is that I'm going to be sharing 3 books by Black authors that are featured within the mystery field that are going to be releasing this month, actually within the next week, in June. Now, to throw just a touch of shade, just a sprinkle of shade, these are not going to be any Alex Cross novels, okay? That shade, make no mistake about it, these are not going to be Alex Cross novels. All right, so with that being said, let's get into this. So the first book that I want to mention is a book that I have been waiting for 3 years for any inkling of a notice about. Basically, after the first book in this series came out in maybe like August of 2019, I was periodically on the computer typing, looking up Nickelodeon, who's HBO, whatever, looking up something to let me know when is this author going to release another book. And at one point I was like, well, I guess the publishers didn't offer her, in her contract, more than one book. I don't know. I ain't trying to get in her business. The point is that I wanted another book, and that book is actually by Faye Snowden, and it is called A Killing Rain. If I could insert like some claps and some balloons and heart stuff, if I felt like doing that in the editing process, I would, but I ain't got time. I'm finna go to Popeyes after I finish this video. But yes, A Killing Rain. I put a thing right here. The first book in that series was A Killing Fire, which came out, like I said, 3 years ago. And it features the story of a Black woman detective named Raven Burns. And so A Killing Rain is the continuation of her story, though I believe that if I get the synopsis right, given that I haven't read the first book in 3 years, is that she's no longer a police detective, but now she's going to be going back to her hometown in Bird's Landing. And here's where she's going to come across a dilemma in which her nephew has been kidnapped by a serial killer, and one of the primary suspects is actually her foster brother. Girl, basically this series has 3 things. No, this series has 4 things. Listen, as someone who loves to read mysteries, it's difficult for, I think, about 4 elements for an author to pull off successfully to keep me, blending wise. And that is atmosphere, which of course is tone and mood, story, which of course is driven by plot. I would say character is probably the hardest thing for someone to do, to put into the fold. And then the last one, of course, is just movement, general movement with the mystery, right? So A Killing Fire did a great job to me of blending all 4 of those, as difficult as it is to do. And one of the primary things that drew me into that book is the fact that it's dark. It has a very dark, almost, well, you would just say like a dark tone to it, because the character of Raven is troubled by a dark past, and I'm not going to give that away. I invite you to read the first book to know this, but essentially what I'm getting to is that dark cloud that follows her on her heels involving murder, whether she's a detective or a civilian, continues forward within the next book. So it's like a rack of dark clouds that come along each chapter, what's that, precipitation, dark cloud, it's a whole thing. And I cannot wait to get a copy of A Killing Rain. Baby girl, baby doll, baby girl, baby doll, baby girl, do not underestimate the fact that I have a $10 Amazon gift card as well as credit card points, which goes either books or groceries, that's going to be having this book in my lap next week. Don't play with me. Don't ever play with me. Don't play with me. All right, so with that out of the way, the next book that I'm looking forward to is actually Harlem Sunset, which is the second book in, I keep wanting to say her name, but when I want to say it like I'm Japanese, which is, it's Nakisa Afia, but I want to say Nakisa Afia, so you know what I'm saying? But anyway, yeah, it's Harlem Sunset, and this is the second book in her Louise Lloyd Harlem Renaissance series, and the first book was actually called Dead Dead Girls, which you guys know I did a separate video talking about that book. Now let me tell you, I'm gonna go ahead and lay this out right now. I had to say what I had to say, my money had to say it, my time had to say it, and we said what we had to say. The only thing I can take back in regards to that, with all the confusion of my articulating my thoughts, is that I wish that I did a better job of that part. But nevertheless, those points still remain the same, and despite that, I still want to see where this author goes. Therefore, I am ready to read Harlem Sunset, as it continues the story of Louise Lloyd, who during the 1920s, well, as the series is underneath the umbrella of the Harlem Renaissance, but during her teenage years, to be more precise, as it was introduced in the prologue of the first book, she was a victim of a kidnapper who had 2 other hostages, and she actually managed to rescue not only herself but the other 2 girls, which gave her the moniker of the hero of Harlem. Now what's going to happen in the second book is that one of those girls that she rescued is actually going to be accused of murder, and then of course that's where Louise Lloyd is going to be tied into the fold, as it results in her uncovering who the true culprit of the murder is. Very similar when I think about it to A Killing Rain, but nonetheless, I'm super looking forward to this book. I'm praying prospectively, hopefully, miraculously, that the author improve on some of the things that a lot of the things that I found troubling in the first book. But yeah, I just hope that there's a lot of growth there, and we'll see what happens. At the end of the day, it's gonna get bought because I want her to win. All right, so the last book that I'm looking forward to is actually a book that I've held off of purchasing because I found out that there was a second edition coming out, and you know, when it comes to second editions, there's some updated material, sometimes in the afterwards, sometimes in the forewords, sometimes in the, you know, I don't know, reference pages. But the point is that there's that opportunity for an author of whatever profile to give his or her take of the actual work, because this book was published, I think, in the 60s. It's a really old book that had a movie adaptation of it at one point, but the book is called The Spook Who Sat by the Door by Sam Greenlee. That's right, I almost bought this earlier this year, and then I saw the second edition is coming out on the 28th along with Dead Dead Girls, and I said I'm just gonna wait. So here we are. Now, The Spook Who Sat by the Door, you know, given that it takes place within the 60s, so it's also, you know, underneath the umbrella of the civil rights movement beginnings. It has to do with this black man who is recruited to be a CIA agent, specifically that within the espionage field. I think that he gets sort of a ways throughout his training before he begins to, or he abandons the project, and then he takes that knowledge and information and skill set that he learned to the streets of Chicago to sort of arm, I think mostly intellectually, a young men who have like this militancy or militia sort of aspirations towards change, toward, you know, in civil rights change and justice. So this is going to be a great book. I just cannot wait to get my own copy of this book. So The Spook Who Sat by the Door is coming out on the 28th, which is at the tail end of the month, which I'm sure it'll probably bleed into July before I can get to it. Then again, I got a ton of books that, whoo child, a ton of books, girl, that's all I can say. So with that out of the way, I'm not going to leave without sharing with you guys what I'm currently reading. And I'm currently reading The Burning Plain by Michael Nava. I hope I said that right. I know I did not, given that he's Latino, but here's a picture of the author. The Burning Plain. This is book number, hold on, 6. Wow. This is book number 6 in his Henry Rios series, and as I've said before and before and before, I freaking love his books. Okay, Henry Rios is a gay Latino defense lawyer. In each book there's a plethora of blending elements that just keep me glued to the pages. Now the first 2 books were difficult to get through. By the 3rd book, this author had me hooked. But you know, there's the commentary on his life, both in terms of being gay as well as his personal life and his family. It just, wow. I mean, these books, Michael really takes us there with the scope of his commentary on those subjects. There's a commentary on his history as being a lawyer, defense lawyer, as well as court cases that take place within the books. It's just, I freaking love these books, and I actually read 2 of them back to back or already this year, and here I am on my 3rd one. I have about 3 more left to go, and then I don't know if there's anything else going to come out. But The Burning Plain is where I'm at. I just started 50 pages. Me and Buffy in there, and I'm already enjoying it. I noticed in this book that he's taking his time a lot, because usually these are pretty fast reads, but he's really taking his time, going slowly with this one. And the murder, the incentive, I believe, of murder hadn't occurred until like 50 pages, and baby, I'm ready for it. So after I eat my Popeyes, I think I'm getting back to that. So anyway, guys, that is it. I just want to share those books. If you have any books that you're looking forward to reading that's coming out this summer or whenever, you know, I don't know, cruel summer, you can let me know down below. If you read any of these books, familiar with these authors, y'all know how that stuff go. Like, I don't have to explain that stuff. I be just like, thank you for participating. If you want to participate, thank you for participating. That's the only thing I know how to say, because I ain't trying to be no influencer, okay? Not really. I'm just here to chat with y'all. All right, that's beside the point. I'm about to go eat my Popeyes. I just did that for the last time, because it's a biscuit, red beans and rice dip, mashed potatoes dip. Hey, you know what I'm saying? And look, somebody's trying to text me right now, and I'm telling you right now, we just gonna clear that right on out.